What up, world? Establishedrich coming right back at you. And today, we gotta talk about a type of content that only exists because the internet rewards cowards. Trap Lord Ross is back in the headlines. Not for a music review, not for a documentary about culture, but for hanging death, violence, and body counts over the head of a young black man. Again.
He repped on a graveyard and Trap Lord went found it.
If I told you NBA Youngboy had 19 people killed, would you believe me?
NBA Youngboy about to go to jail. Kentrell Golden. Trap Lord Ross just dropped a 2-hour documentary highlighting 19 murders you're supposedly connected to. 4 out of TBG, Dutch, Boulevard Quick, 7 the harder way. We got a girl named Kernesha. We got a baby. I'm talking about he name dropping locations, dropping alleged shooters. It just got critical for you. Now, we all saw what happened to Lil Durk. He just went to jail and we swore to God he wasn't living like that. So what we gonna say when Youngboy go to jail? Imagine a YouTuber from London put all the pieces together on your criminal activity and get you indicted. And Herm, they basically saying you the King Von of Baton Rouge. If I was you, after this documentary, I'd lay low. I give it about 72 hours before local law enforcement get involved. Y'all get down in the comments and let me know, do you believe this documentary? Is Youngboy really associated with 19 bodies?
I'm not here to wish harm on nobody. Let me make that clear from the top. I don't want to see this man touched, hurt, or threatened. But I do want to call out the absurdity of this era. The era where you can play internet detective, assign bodies to rappers, frame street narratives like federal case files, and then hide behind YouTube when real life reacts. That's where my problem with this starts. Not with documentaries, not with investigation, but profiting off suggesting without consequence. Trap Lord Ross has made a business out of turning lyrics into crime reports, and that should disturb everybody. Because a lyric is not a court case, a documentary is not a verdict, and a YouTube channel is not a federal agency. But look at what he did. He titled a video 19 Bodies for NBA Youngboy. Even if you say he never said YB did it, you already put the stain on the name by the title alone. That's called weaponized suggestion. You don't have to say it directly if you let the audience conclude it. And that is a dangerous game when you playing with real lives. This ain't a true crime show about closed cases. This is a young man still alive, still making music, still moving through a system that already ain't built for him. And you got a content creator sitting in a chair connecting dots off rumors, blogs, and rap lyrics like he trying to solve a RICO case. That ain't journalism. That's entertainment disguised as investigation. And the internet eats it up. Why? Because violence sells better than context. Death sells better than development. Destruction sells better than redemption. And the darkest part, the people who make this type of content rarely live in the world they're profiting off of. They don't live in the neighborhoods. They don't sit with the mothers. They don't carry the weight of the funeral. They log out, but the families can't log out. The communities can't log out. And the artists sure can't log out of the images that get attached to their name forever. And this is the part that really made me shake my head. Trap Lord Ross went to an NBA Youngboy concert with 3 huge bodyguards. Let that sink in. You can accuse, suggest, insinuate, and profit online, but the moment you step into a real space, you need a wall of meat around you. That tells me everything I need to know. You comfortable being bold on Wi-Fi, but real life requires protection. And that's the era we living in. Keyboard courage, real world fear. People have turned street culture into streaming content. And we act like this is normal now. This ain't started with Trap Lord Ross. He just perfected the lane. We saw it with academics and Chirac. We saw the war reporter style. Live counting, live mourning, live mocking, live reactions to death. And nobody stopped it because the numbers were too good. Clicks outweighed consequences. Views outweighed victims. Revenue outweighed responsibility. And now we got a whole generation of content creators who think it's normal to build careers off of alleged bodies. Alleged. Let's say that word out loud. Because allegations are not convictions. And YouTube is not a courtroom. You can say alleged all you want. The damage is done by the time the title loads. Search results don't care about disclaimers. History don't care about asterisks. And the public's memory is lazy. They only remember the headline. So now you got a 2-hour video sitting on the internet connecting a man to 19 bodies. And you expect people to separate art from accusation. That's not how human beings work. This is why NBA Youngboy's fans are upset. Not because they can't handle criticism, but because they can see the play. The same play that was run on King Von. The same play that turned the bodies narrative into a multi-million-dollar view count. The same play that took street violence and turned it into a documentary franchise. And when people say Trap Lord Ross did it again, the response was, I'm just breaking down lyrics. You breaking down marketable death. And there's a difference. This is why he got death threats before the video dropped. Not because people are savages, but because people can feel when their lives are being turned into somebody else's content strategy. That feeling creates fear. Fear creates rage, and rage creates consequences. That's where I draw the line. You do not get to build a career off the violence of black men and then turn around like you a neutral observer. You in the picture now. Now, this is where the lane gets clearer. Trap Lord Ross didn't invent this. He just figured out how to scale it. Before him, it was academics and Chirac. Live tweets, live counting, live reactions to death like it was a scoreboard. And the internet loved it. Not because it was educational, but because it was adrenaline. Death became breaking news. Beef became content rollout. And when the numbers went up, the moral bar went down. Because on this platform, the algorithm don't care about trauma. It cares about attention. Then came the next version, 1090J. Case files, paperwork, snitching breakdowns, street politics as a content niche. Some people call it transparency. Some people call it educational. But let's be real. A lot of it is just street business being sold to people who don't live in the street. Same way war footage gets sold to people who never heard a gunshot up close. This is the business model now. Take dangerous lives, remove the human cost, slap a narrator voice over it, and cash the check. The creator goes to sleep safe. The neighborhood never does. And that's the part people skip. The distance. The content creator is always at a safe distance. Different zip code, different police protection, different consequences. The subject of the content don't have that luxury. They have to sit inside of the fallout. A rumor moves, a threat appears. People saying, it's just the internet. It ain't just the internet when somebody gotta change how they live. This is the part I want people to actually hear. Words change behaviors. Headlines change perception. Perception changes how people move around you. And that can cost lives without anybody firing a shot. This is why I don't care how many disclaimers you put on a video. When you title a video with a body count, you know exactly what you're doing. You planting a flag in the viewer's mind. And that flag says, this man is connected to death. Even if you say alleged, the seed is planted. This is how modern character assassinations work. No courtroom, no witness stand, no burden of proof. Just an upload button and an audience that thinks views or validation. And here's the part people don't want to discuss. Content creators get immunity through distance. They can be wrong without immediate consequences. A rapper can't. A neighborhood can't. A family can't. When a creator is wrong, they just delete it. When a street narrative is wrong, somebody still got to answer for that. This is why I said I don't want harm to come to nobody, but I do want accountability for everybody. The same way rappers are held responsible for their lyrics, content creators have to be held responsible for their narratives. You don't get to shape real world perception and then pretend you just a fan with a camera. You media now. And media has an impact. This also explains why fans get so reactive. They're not defending crime. They're defending identity. When you attach a crime narrative to a rapper, you attaching it to everybody who feels seen by that music. So they don't just hear an accusation against a man. They hear an accusation against themselves. And that's why it gets violent so fast. Because identity defense is always emotional. But let me be grown about this too. Fans don't own the truth. You can't threaten somebody into silence just because the narrative makes you feel uncomfortable. That part ain't right either. Two things can be true at the same time. Content can be dangerous and threats can still be wrong. This is where the discussion stays intelligent, not emotional. We gotta learn how to criticize without criminalizing and learn how to defend without becoming the thing we claim to hate. This is the part of hip hop that hasn't evolved. We still think disagreements have to turn to destruction. So you got creators profiting off street narratives and fans trying to police the internet with fear. Both sides are wrong and both sides are being rewarded with attention, which means the algorithm is the real winner every time. At some point, every culture has to decide what it pays for. We already decided we'll pay for violence. We pay with clicks, we pay with shares, we pay with watch time. We say we don't like it, but we never look away. This ain't about one creator. This is about an economy built on pain. You can't demand peace while funding chaos. You can't say stop the violence and then upload it every night like a TV series. This culture has a double standard. We condemn words and cosign numbers. That's why nothing changes. Now let's talk about what real media ethics look like. Real media ethics say you can tell the story without putting a target on somebody's back. Real media ethics say you can discuss street reality without turning it into a scorecard. Real media ethics say you don't hang a body count on a living man like it's a championship belt. And if you do, you don't get to act sharp when the room feels dangerous because you set the temperature. Media doesn't just report energy. Media creates it, and we all feel it after. This is why I keep saying, you don't need to wish harm on nobody to call out the system. You can want people safe and still want them accountable. You can want speech protected and still want lives checked. You can care about art and still care about what art does to real life. None of these ideas cancel each other out. We just been arguing like they do. Now, let's talk to the fans. Fans gotta stop confusing defense with threats. You don't protect your artists by turning into the very violence you claim you tired of seeing. You don't protect the culture by striking fear into people just for asking questions. That just makes the stereotypes louder. What you protect with truth never needs force. And what you protect with violence was never secure in the first place. Now here's the part most people don't want to sit with. A lot of this content lives because the industry does not protect its own story. We let outsiders document us before we ever learn how to document ourselves. We let the narrative travel further than the facts. We let mythology outrun mentorship. And the internet doesn't correct that. It amplifies it. This is why we need a different kind of creator to win. Not the loudest, not the most shocking, not the one with the darkest thumbnail, the one with the most discipline, the most balance, the one with the most respect for consequences. Culture doesn't need more war reporters. It needs more architects, people who build, people who teach, people who can talk about reality without turning it into a blood sport. Now, let me take y'all out with the truth I promised you. The internet removed distance between words and consequences. People say things now they would never say in a room full of consequences. And that is why everybody feels braver and nobody feels safer. You can't build a future in a space where every sentence feels like a matchstick. The fire always spreads. That's the cycle. Content, reaction, threat, fear, views, repeat. Content, reaction, threat, fear, views, repeat. And all of it happens while real communities are trying to survive offline. It ain't right, it ain't normal, and it shouldn't be accepted just because it gets traffic. That's why I spoke on it. Not to beat down a creator, not to defend a rapper, but to defend the space between speech and blood. The space that used to make people think before they publish something. We need that space back, because if everything is content, sooner or later, everything will become collateral damage. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.